Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the North American Challenger League. We're here in the game 4 of the night. Man, things going really quickly, but we're already into vVv versus the guys from Curse Academy. Now, there's a lot of I guess somewhat recent changes surrounding both of these teams. vVv changed up their entire roster coming into the season, combining both red and white into somewhat of a super team. They've played around with some AD carries, but one of the AD carries that they did have for a while was actually Mashme. Well, he's actually now on Curse Academy, and Curse Academy also have the support in Hi, I'm a Sheep, who is getting really popular, playing around with some big names out there. So we'll have to see what happens to him and what happens to Curse Academy as they take on Vision, Valor, and Victory.
Definitely a few rumors surrounding Sheep right now, but we don't have the skinny, and we can't really give it to you guys if we did. So we'll go on into champion picks and bans. LeBlanc, Elise, Yasuo, banned out by vVv.
All right.
And casted in Italy, and that mysterious third ban. Who will it be, Rapid? Who will it be?
Well, it would normally have been Caston if you saved that for last. But in the meantime, a lot of focus put on Duosec, and I guess Peck and Wolf too. Mid lane bans, they're coming out, and no surprise there. We've seen mid lane bans for a very long time. Just because it's such a decisive lane, if it gets ahead, it really snowballs really hard. Less towards the late game, that's where AD carries kind of take over, but AP carries can really take over a game extremely quickly.
If you take over the mid game, that late game gets a lot more accessible.
It just might not even come.
Yeah.
So.
Like, if you're great at the 15-minute mark, but the game's over at the 30-minute mark, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Doesn't really matter. But first pick, Thresh, though. Taking that away from Hi, I'm a Sheep. That guy is a great Thresh player. I used to love watching him play competitively against Yuno because they were both just really great grab champions. But it's Blitzcrank, Thresh. This time it's Gaunty.
And Kennen being looked at by Rux. I know Rux does like Kennen quite a bit.
He's a big believer in AD Kennen top lane.
I could see. I've actually seen him tweeting about that quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I would not expect him to first pick just because if you don't know what you're doing going into the matchup, Kennen can get shut down by certain champions. He does have some great matchups. He has some amazing I will stomp your face in matchups. But then you just don't pick those if you see him first pick it. So
yeah, exactly.
I'd expect that later. Lucian and Caitlyn, though, one of these will probably swap.
Now, we actually used to see mid lane Lucian when he was first released and then once he first got popularized, but that doesn't exist anymore. So it's just straight up safe picks across the board. Caitlyn picked along with that Renekton. Now, Dr. Mundo's been banned, and anytime you sort of start to, I don't know, put that top lane trifecta of big, powerful champions out of whack, really weird stuff starts happening. So looking for the Shyvana counter for Mundo. But
there we go.
Renekton actually doesn't do all that well against Shyvana either. So it should be a pretty good pick for Get Snuggled once Delicious Milk GG locks it in. So they've already got that Gragas lane. Gragas, Shyvana, like they're all very, both very versatile. You can have mid lane Gragas, top lane Gragas, jungle Gragas.
Oh, the Gragas?
Yeah. Graggy.
Graggy Ice for your Graggy army. But what can happen here is if they go for the Gragas, we could see someone try to punish it, maybe like a Lulu. But with all the assassins banned, all the assassins that are really good versus Gragas, like Yasuo, like LeBlanc, who can stay out of his range, it really limits a lot of the normal champions you'd see picked versus Gragas. I would like to see Lulu could still work well versus this. Lulu still works well versus Gragas, who can play an assassin with his very high burst damage. We could see, I think it's totally going to be Lulu, which is unfortunate because there's been so many.
Man.
It's devaluing the Lulu because there are so many Lulus.
Right.
But it looks like it's already locked in. It could be a support, but we don't know for sure yet. And it's just getting more and more uncommon.
I mean, it's Duosec too. And Duosec, if you guys don't know or didn't actually catch him playing in the North American Collegiate Championships, he's been around for a while, but never really made it into sort of the public eye. And so coming on to a new Curse Academy to start this competitive season for NACL, he's a little bit of a new face, but he's been posting some incredible numbers. And in a big play last weekend, he actually stole the Baron buff. It was a 15-minute Baron attempt. And when 15-minute Barons are going down, you know something's going wrong for his team. He walked up to the Baron, distortioned over the wall, stole the Baron buff, and turned things around for his entire team single-handedly. There's some big plays out there. I think Curse has the VODs for that one, but it's just ridiculous the things that this guy does. Now, that was on LeBlanc. It's banned. So going over to Lulu, will that Lulu actually be mid?
I would assume so. Zig's actually being looked at, so this could be a jungle Gragas, could be a top lane Gragas. We'll actually see what happens if it does get locked in. And yeah, all right, where's the Gragas going to go? We've seen Gragas top lane, and we've seen it fail horribly, but the Gragas still won a thing. Got crushed by Renekton.
All right, so that means that, yeah, it's a choice between jungle or top lane Gragas. Now, I'd expect jungle Gragas with a top lane Shyvana. That'd be a very safe pick, but I have seen Gragases do very, very third very well against Renekton's before.
Yeah,
So
it's all about the early level 1, level 2 game.
If you can all in him and cheese him out early.
Oh yeah, that body
really
slam damage is
strong.
amazing. But if it goes wrong, you just get destroyed because Renekton doesn't deal with mana. Gragas is very limited with mana before he gets a Chalice of Harmony, and Chalice of Harmony is worthless versus Renekton.
That's true.
You don't get any mitigation.
Yeah,
you
so
get
you
a
have
little
to
bit
go
versus the ultimate.
You have to go for like Tears or Doran's Rings or Seeker's Arm Guards, and I guess all of those are pretty good on Gragas. It's not quite what you want to go for. That is that early Athene's Unholy Grail, unless you're just smashing him, and then you just build it anyway. And
you just build what you want.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'm just rushing DFG, Death Cap. Let's just do what we want. But if Renekton does get ahead, it's brutal.
There's an Annie just getting locked in. All right, so that is what Sheep is going to have with Mash Me down in there in the bottom lane. Very long-range harass-based lane, but a lot of all-in potential as well. Mid lane Lulu confirmed there for Duo-Second. Switching things around, I want to see that Delicious Milk GG Gragas in the jungle.
And it looks like that's what it will be. He hasn't swapped quite yet. It's a predictable response because Gragas versus Renekton, it's so risky. But the other lanes, Lucian and Thresh going up against Annie Caitlyn. I really like Annie Caitlyn. It's just such a long-range poke lane. But Lucian Thresh, that is that level 2 kill potential. You can interrupt the 90 caliber net from Caitlyn with Flay. You can also just burst down Annie as she is a squishy champion. So they really want to try and get pressure level 2, not let Caitlyn play that ranged poke game. Or they can just try and push in hard using Lucian spammable spells.
Always a good option, but as all the champions have been locked in, as we wind things down here, we're going to throw things over to a quick commercial break. So hopefully you guys are sticking around and checking out our sponsors. You can find them right below the stream along with our social media links. So you should definitely both follow us on Twitter. You can also follow I'm trying to remember where it is. It's NACL Esports at Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and I think there's one more that I'm forgetting. But we're out there, so follow NACL Esports out there, but also make sure to show some love to our sponsors. And they are Loot Crate. You can check out the Crate of Loot right down below the screen. For $13.37 a month, you can get all kinds of crazy stuff shipped in a Loot Crate to your house for, like I said, a very cheap and affordable price. You can do this all by checking out lootcrate.com. So check them out. Thank them for supporting us and making all this great esports possible, but also make sure to head over to phoenixcollection.com. Phoenix Peripherals, they make some awesome gaming gear for your PC. It's mice, headsets, keyboards, and mouse pads, all of the very finest quality. You can head over to phoenixcollection.com, check them out, and last but not least, there's LOL Class.
And with LOL Class, you and a friend and a bunch of other people, I'd say less than 100 tops, can end up in a class with a pro who will teach you for an hour about his favorite champion, the ins, the outs, and this is a personal stream with less than 100 people on a stream like that. You can get so many questions and you can get so much detailed responses. This is not tossing a question to 20,000 people. This is you and Hotshot GGG talking about LeBlanc with very, very quick responses. So it's a really cool system. The LCS players and just challenger high-level players can teach you a lot about the game and a lot about their champions. So I recommend checking it out very, very highly at lolclass.com. And with that, well, we got vVv going up against Curse Academy very soon. Going to make sure the players connect all properly, make sure everything is working nice and right. So we'll be back soon with this awesome match.
the night here at the North American Challenger League. I am Reed Rapid Melton. Joining me is Chris Studio Grant. We're into a game that should be relatively even. We saw the same situation happen in our last game, but as Curse Academy come out here versus vVv, they're starting out from very different places in the league. Curse Academy with, I guess, one of the better starts to the season, and a team that I definitely expected a lot out of from their showings last season. They had they looked incredibly strong going into the playoffs, made it all the way there. vVv had some struggles, and they're going to turn their struggles into snuggles in the top lane as Get Snuggled goes up against Rux, Shyvana versus Renekton. But already a little bit of a non-passive start to the game. Mashme's losing out in those trades, but has the range to trade that back evenly, and now we got to start the game with both 80 carries at half health.
Well, this is a trap, actually. They don't know that all of vVv is in that brush, so if Mashme goes too far out, I mean, he should expect it. He doesn't know anybody's in that brush, doesn't know anything about that brush. That brush could have 5 people, could have no people. He's playing safe and not going for it. They could have actually tried to flash start a fight there. It would have been dangerous, but could have been a very potential risky all-in that, risky all-ins from vVv, I love it when they go for him because they do it pretty well.
Oh, they do, but they also did this in Thursday's game as well. That same basic gambit, trying to bait people to go for the 80 carry. And, I mean, it's one way to start the game. It's not that big defensive spread that we see from pretty much every game out now, but it's a little bit of an exciting way to start. So.
Yeah, it can also fail horribly is the problem. Like it's a big risky move. That
to
can
our
work.
entertainment, and that's what we're here for. So if they want to try something super risky, I am all for it. But we're starting things out with a jungle Gragas. Delicious Milk GG taking that down there and giving Peckinwolf his zigs. And to be honest, Peckinwolf is really more well known for that mid lane Nidalee, but didn't decide to go for it, went for the zigs instead.
Well, the zigs does provide a lot of that poke damage, so still the same style of champion, a little bit less, I'd say, self-sustaining as he has no sustain. And Gragas, of course, as a jungler, he's really, really damaging as long as you don't fall a little bit too far behind. If you fall too far behind, you're going to end up being less relevant. You won't have the items you need. You'll become more of a displacement bot, which is still okay, but if Gragas falls behind, he's just not as useful as other junglers would be with low farm. But his ganks are going to be insane because he has that gap closer with Body Slam. He has a slow with Body Slam. And if you want to fight back, well, he has the attack speed slow on his barrel if he does have that leveled up.
Ooh. Bottom lane not going too well there for the vVv duo as take a double Peacemaker and have to burn up some sustain health potion being used there by Tails. Now Gandhi's moving forward. Let's force out that 90 caliber net from Don't Mash Me, so being really aggressive and it's paying off. Pantheon, though, is coming around the corner as he comes. Will walk right over a ward, so somewhat anticlimactic there. He heads on to the mid lane, but red buff being done right now by Delicious Milk GG is going to take it down. Faster jungle there for Pantheon over Gragas.
Gragas, well, he actually has more minion camps destroyed, so he actually has gotten more experience as Pantheon's been roaming looking for that kill. So it's actually a slight advantage for Gragas. He's just been less relevant. But luckily, Pantheon hasn't been able to really do anything in any of the lanes. Gragas, though, should be very close to level 4. He could go for a gank now. Question is, where would he gank? Top lane's a possibility. But he's actually going to catch out Pantheon in the jungle.
Pato was in there, but didn't really want to fight that. Either way, it does give Gragas a free white, and Gragas is actually a champion that can take those whites very early. Doesn't have the same percentage damage that champions like Kha'Zix or Elise would, but just does so much damage early on. He burst it down there. It's going to see Tails jump right into the bush to try to get these trades out there, but Gragas is right there in tow. He's coming in from behind, looking for a barrel. Hits it onto both Mashme and Haima Sheep. Play backwards, forces out the flash from Sheepu. Going to try to get on there. Oh, look at that trap from Mashme. Beautiful cupcake bait in there, but Gragas, he's already full.
Yeah, unfortunately for Delicious Milk GG, he was looking for that kill, but he kind of ran to the minion wave, or he was blocked by it. Like, he knew he couldn't get around it, so he had to stop chasing at that point.
Well, his name isn't Delicious Cupcake GG.
Yeah, he goes for the milk, but regardless, that was a pretty cool showing of the Gragas play, as you saw Curse immediately run away. They could not stand for the Fat Man. And actually, Pantheon could not duel Delicious Milk GG in the jungle because of that attack speed debuff. Pantheon's one of the best duelists in the game, but Gragas has the perfect kit for attack speed-based champions to shut them down.
A lot of people don't really realize that. If you guys are unfamiliar with Gragas' attack speed debuff, it's on barrel roll, and at level 1, it's 25% attack speed slow. So if you're trying to fight that, it's really bad to duel that level 1. Flash forced out by Duosec. Peckinwolf didn't even have that much mana for follow-up, but Duosec did not want to get ganked in there. It was a little bit worried, and playing it better safe than sorry.
Actually, Pegwolf blowing that flash is a huge indicator for that mid lane because it means he has a control, he's got the farm lead, he's going to stay a little bit more relevant a little bit more often as Lulu will mostly focus on playing defensively while Pegwolf has a choice to either farm or play aggro, go for some damage. But this is a pretty solid start for vVv. A lot of their lanes are doing not great, but the fact that Ziggs is trying to get ahead, if Ziggs can snowball, if he either starts getting kills or just gets massive amounts of farm, he turns into one of the deadliest burst casters in the game. You just need to make sure you get items on him first. With base stats, he's not that great. Once he gets in Athene's, once he gets a little bit of AP to back that up, Athene's Neasly Large Rod, I'd say it's the perfect combination. He is amazing. You have to reach that threshold first.
We're going to see how many thresholds we can reach. Most likely it's going to happen in the bottom lane because, hey, that's where the champion is, there with Tails. But top lane, though, gets snuggled, starting to get bullied out there by Rux's Renekton, one of his best champions. And some extra support up there from Pantheon. It's going to be a little bit scarier than you'd expect. Forcing Get Snuggled way off that turret and out of a lot of experience there at the as the turret kills off the minions.
Yeah, Get Snuggled does not have his ultimate, does not have that extra bit of escape as Rux already has a Dominus. Luckily there is a ward in the brush and Pantheon will be leaving soon, so this gives a chance for Get Snuggled to get some experience. The hook does land on the mash.
On a mash me, Death Sentence play backwards, a nice 90 caliber net, but the flash in, forcing flash out and the barrier, so Tails wins that trade very handily. 2 summoners up now over Matchme, who's forced almost back to base, dodges out the Mega Inferno Bomb too. It was a nice attempt there by Peckinwolf to try to pick up the kill, but just didn't work out.
Yeah, no, a lot of pressure on this bottom turret. Caitlyn low on HP, but Caitlyn can try and survive this. Just maybe. It's a dangerous hook for Gonti to go for. You can see she's trying to zone out, keep the turret alive. Not a whole lot of damage done to the turret, so good defensive play there. I mean, Mashme does have a Vampiric Scepter. He can try and sustain back. It's a very even bot lane right now, but the issue is a one good hook, one good bit of burst, and that can be either side losing their AD carry, either side losing their support. Ignite's still available on Sheep, and he should be getting close to level 6 now.
Yeah, with just a few more minions to last it. There we go. Gonti's going to be level 5, just turning that way, but like you said, level 6 is coming up here pretty soon. Already saw that level 6 impact from Peckinwolf almost taking out Mashme with a Mega Inferno Bomb, but still haven't seen Duosec put his to use top lane. Got level 6s as well, both just going to transform into a big mighty monster. It's kind of like if you ever play the game Rampage, you know, you've got a lot of transformation up there. Just you got a dragon versus a crocodile dinosaur thing.
That turns into a bigger crocodile dinosaur thing.
And in turn, Shyvana does the same thing. It's just everybody getting big and nobody really caring about that because they're just beating on one another. Like, I don't take damage. No, I don't take. Oh.
Someone will take damage eventually.
We used to see that in Season 2, it was Lee Sin versus Udyr, and they would both deal absolutely no damage to each other because they both matched shield.
Oh, yeah.
They just like shield.
Eventually, they would just ignore each other and run and just cut the creep waves. And that's actually Duosec.
Ooh, he's getting a little bit bounced out. Perfect combo, but I don't actually think that vVv really wanted to commit to that at all. They're just sort of half-heartedly ganking that. And when the barrel landed, there really wasn't that much follow-up to it.
They were looking to bait a summoner out. Like, that was very specific. They could not really go for the kill. Like, the second Gragas tossed out the ultimate, he backed up, which means he was not feeling committed.
Well,
and that was
Flash
smart.
was still down for like another minute and a half, though. So
yeah, that was also the issue. They don't have a summoner to bait out. It was the ultimate Ignite they could have gone for as well. Ultimate has been used, which makes Lulu a lot less effective in team fights, which might make her a lot less effective at defending this blue buff. Delicious Milk, can you secure it? The Barrel does pick it up, actually.
Oh, and there it is, the Mega Inferno Bomb. And Barrel, man, they're pretty good. Gragas, one of the best objective stealers in the game. You really have to watch out for that, especially much later on during Dragons, especially Barons, once Gragas starts to get all that AP out there.
You toss in a Smite as well, which he did not have to use for that, but when you have a Burst combo and Smite, that's what makes it really hard to steal versus some champions. But Gragas has probably one of the highest Burst combos in the game, making him really effective if he does pick up that AP. But if you look at the gold, it's dead, or actually it's slightly ahead for vVv. This is despite the fact that Shyvana is down 25 CS top lane. So this is all off of mid lane, all off of the jungle, all off of small advantages across the map, but vVv actually staying ahead because Gragas, like, it's Gragas really crushing Pantheon in the CS.
Yeah, and it's just Gragas early game. It's so strong. He went for those aggressive early invades as well. And, you know, keep in mind, the jugglers really haven't been back to base in a while. I think Pateau actually just got out of base, but I was talking about Delicious Milk GG. He's got about 1,000 gold in his pocket, can back out and pick up at least the majority of that Spirit of the Spectral Wraith, so let's see what he goes for. Does have a Doran's Ring in his pocket, but needs to put some pressure out there on the map as he does go back and picks up that Fiendish Codex, so he's on his way, but decides to grab some consumables as well. Bottom lane returning for vVv as well to stop the continual Curse Academy push, but you can see Patsu off there in the background on the minimap. Engage.
I mean, he does have the man drop available. One good stun from Annie could set it all up. You can see Getsuggle top lane is not having a solid time. He's fallen so far behind, and Renekton, if he gets ahead and he builds and uses his build right, like that Brutalizer build, that's all for the all-ins, all for the constant pressure instead of a Tiamat, which would be more sustained. Use that build aggressively and properly, he will just stay massively ahead. Here comes a man drop, here comes a stun!
There it is, perfect timing there on the stun. Man dropping it right onto Gonti, but a nice wall from the box is going to really stop that Curse Academy engage. You've also got Delicious Milk GG there, is looking for some barrels to come out, doesn't hit anything, so nice disengage there. And overall, that's Pantheon all down, and really a lot of presence taken off that map now. Getsuggle doesn't have to worry about getting dove. He knows the jungler pressure is bottom, and continue to CS a turret, but he's actually having a really rough time.
Gotta worry about dying.
60 CS versus 100.
Yeah, and we're being generous with that 60 because he's still at 59, like just short of it.
Even given
we're gonna see Renekton double this CS most likely. Like he's very close to it.
That is not looking pretty. You can see him just go underneath that turret. Doesn't care. Flashes out though, so I don't think he's gonna pick up that kill with Ignite, but he just even still burns the flash. So overall, that aggression that was supposed to put pressure on Getsuggled actually winds up hurting Rux more because he burned both summoners.
However, Getsuggled not enough HP to actually survive, so he will go back to base.
So
and
Rux
can build.
stay.
Yeah, he can build some more CS lead, get a bit more gold, and we won't see the double in CS. He's not going to get enough minions killing the next wave, but it's close. He almost doubles in CS.
Yeah, you can get still a lot more gold from farming in between the turrets, and Renekton sustain just so good. This is actually a really weird build. You can go 4 different build paths on Renekton. Tank, Blade of the Ruined King, Tiamat, or the Brutalizer. And this is not a build you see very early on. It's old school. You used to go
classic
Brutalizer,
Renekton build.
but you don't really see it all that much anymore, and that's just saying, hey, I have an advantage, and I want to keep it.
Yeah, like with Brutalizer, it doesn't build into anything. Tiamat gives you Ravenous Hydra, a very efficient item, very good stats on it in terms of damage and healing. Brutalizer, it gives you a lot of sustain as Renekton because of the cooldown reduction, but it really isn't a big item. You won't build into anything major. So that's the disadvantage. However, because Rux is playing so aggressively, still ahead by 45 CS at this point, he will continue to grow his lead if he can play aggressively enough. And that Brutalizer doesn't really give you anything good later on, but it gives you more gold compared to their enemy top laner. Which, if Rux wants to sit there, that's definitely what he wants to focus on.
There's this guy named Shampoo, is Diamond 1 solo queue player who builds AD Renekton. Stacks those Bloodthirster Black Cleavers up there and just does ridiculous amounts of damage. It's so fun watching him play, but don't think we'll see much more offensive itemization out there. But with that Vamp Scepter as well, man.
I was about to say, he might do that with Vamp Scepter. Getsuggled will have the ultimate in a second, but
look
there's
at
a lot of
that
members
damage!
here.
Holy cow! Delicious Milk GG just gets run over! And there's the Lulu damage as well. Duo set coming in for some more damage out there. Stuns and runs there from Tail. He's going to look to preserve that and get Gonti out alive as well. Didn't have to take that Lantern, but did have to blow that barrier. A ton of damage in there, but oh, Peck and Wolf, he's trying to throw that damage back. Throws down. Oh, man, perfect timing there on that minefield. Will flash himself out there alive, but that means it's a dragon. And coming up here for Curse Academy, they establish dominance down there in the bottom lane. Mid lane, and go for the objective.
Yeah, their lead right now, only 600 gold off the kill, but toss in the dragon. We see 1.1k coming out. Very clean lead. I really like that sequence of fights. They immediately roam down to mid lane. 206 for going for the hard pressure. The immediate pressure bot lane as well to match that up. They synchronize the fights so well, there was no chance for vVv to defend if they were at all weak from any of those fights. And now Getsuggled up top lane. All right, he's getting some CS, still behind by 50, so still very, very well behind, but Rux now has the assist, a little bit more gold in the coffers for Lulu, and that mid lane CS advantage for Pekka doesn't really matter. Still very even across the board. Rux might go down because he just doesn't have the tank, and will have a burst combo.
So
it's on cooldown.
Getsuggled is going to have that dragon form up if he wants to dive, but honestly, Rux just has so much damage. Renekton damage is really underrepresented because you just never see Renekton build super, super aggressively. Tiamat's about as aggressive as you get it, and so you're used to the Tiamat damage, but
Tiamat would do more damage in this case because you get the extra cast, but he wouldn't have been able to get the sustain as well. And that's the weakness Renekton has when he builds Tiamat straight up. You can't really sustain in lane, so you'll have better burst, but Siobhan just read that he sustains when he gets
there's
a big
Dominus
trade.
coming right back up the same exact moment as Dragon Form descends there for Getsuggled, so he's going to head back to base. He's on his own ward, so it's safe for now. And once again, the story of the top lane, Rux wins out, stays up there, and continues getting that CS advantage, now a grand total of 60 CS ahead.
That is a tremendously. That is the Brutalizer buildup. He got the Brutalizer, has used it well.
Yeah, and we're only 15 minutes into the game.
Yeah, that is also a lot of CS in general. Like, he's looking very, he's gonna cut 200 before the 20-minute mark, most likely.
There's 6 minions per wave on average, and that means that when you have a 60 CS advantage, that's 10 waves of minions that you've cleared that your opponent has. Just to put it in perspective, that is a really big difference. Rux smashing that top lane matchup, but in the jungle, you can see a pretty sizable advantage there for Delicious Milk GG. Man drop going in. You got the Lantern as well. But Pantheon jumping in there. Patu is not where he wants to be. Delicious Milk GG just slides in there and takes him out. But Duosec versus Peckinwolf, that's the matchup that probably will not be as exciting. They're going to poke each other and do a lot of annoying things and not really accomplish all that much. But we get Snuggled coming down from the bottom lane. May not be able to win his own lane, but can't help win another.
Doesn't have the ultimate though, and Lulu does have Wild Growth available. You mentioned this before, Bloodthirster on Renekton. That is a snowball style build, and he's built it. He's going for the burst. Actually, Ziggs being chased out though. Peckinwolf low on damage, gets Snuggled, has the ultimate available to be able to get out of here.
As well, and this build from Rux is really, really good. Renekton already has a ton of extra sustain when you talk about building a, or just his Call to Me. You spin around, you get a lot of health back, especially if it's empowered by that Fury passive. But if you have a Bloodthirster, you just heal for ridiculous amounts. Now he does actually have to stack that up there, so he's only 6 stacks on it just now. So
with his CS though, it's gonna stack up.
Oh
fast.
Yeah, he's in control at the top.
All right, so I love Bloodthirst from Renekton because it turns his stun to Ruthless Predator. It goes from a damaging skill, which with Ravenous Hydra will give you some HP back, to essentially it's almost like a transfusion from Vladimir and how much HP it goes.
It's like half your health too, because you've got like Renekton scales ridiculously well off of attack damage. You just can't really build it because you explode in fights. Yeah. But when you're this far ahead, your level advantage, just the stats you get off of leveling, make you so strong that while Rux may not be able to get snuggled all that much just because he has so much extra armor, just look at what he does. He doesn't take damage anymore because he just heals it right now.
And Get Snuggled, of course, has no sustained response. That top turret will not survive this next wave. Get Snuggled already going back to base. He knows he has to give it up. This lane is just too far gone for him. And 172 CS on a Rux, the most in the game by far. This Renekton, all right, if Renekton does stuff in team fights right now, he's actually really weak at it because he just blows up, like you said. But he's getting so much gold so quickly, he'll be able to build a tank item and still be relevant in a team fight. And he can burst down Tails, he can burst down Peckinwolf, maybe not on his own with a little bit of help, like let's say from Bateau or Duosec with Glitter Lance. That'll be enough to secure a kill. So he doesn't need that much aid to secure any kills at this point, and he'll have enough gold by the time the next team fight breaks out, most likely. Like, he'll still be tanky. The Dragon is only up in 90 seconds, and that's probably not enough time for anything more than a Giant Spell.
Now, you know, as cool as the Bloodthirster is, it's really not what you want to see from Renekton, because building that damage item on the top laner says, look at me, I'm the one that's going to carry. But you look at professional play, and top laners don't carry. Top laners tank for the other carries. So we might have to see this change up a little bit. Lulu is a little bit of a utility carry, and what you want to do with Lulu is have your side lanes and your jungle build damage, because she can give them the health with what? With
the Wild Growth, yeah, with the Wild Growth picks combo. Those Ws are tough, man.
Man, with the Wild Growth. All right, I got it. I'm going to start saying tongue twisters here in a second, but in the meantime, Rux does go up there, take down the turret. Now, get snuggled. He's going to have to run around the long way as, yeah, there is the stun and the spin. Where it is, oh my goodness, get snuggled. Cannot even fight that. He needs that Sunfire Cape, and that'll be a nice bit of strength coming back his way, but it's going to be a while until he gets it.
And the problem with the Sunfire Cape is Rux clears the waves so quickly with Pull the Meek that, all right, there's a lot of incidental damage if they're sitting next to each other, but Rux will kill the wave, back on out, and just be A-okay. Dragon up in 20 seconds. Both teams aware of it. Curse in the area. They're looking to go ahead and build up that defense. They want to make sure they can play a Dragon with Renekton's buffness right now, because he will burst down Tails.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see Rux get like in melee range against Peckinwolf, Delicious Milk GG, or Tails, because he's going to half health them off of just a couple spells. And man, it's coming down all the way. You're going to see Shyvana all the way up top lane, not where vVv need her right now.
Yeah, Shyvana trying to farm it up, trying to stay relevant, but while she will get a little bit relevant off that CS, the rest of Curse Academy will just keep her irrelevant by picking up this Dragon. Is that the man drop? No, that's Mega Inferno Bomb.
Yeah, Mega Inferno Bomb.
Oh!
wait a second. That was
delicious milk GG.
That's not why you. Okay, yeah. I guess Gragas. We were talking about this earlier. The steal potential.
He can steal like with that Thresh Lantern, completely safe. Didn't even have to blow his flash.
Yeah, just body slam over, Thresh Lantern back away, and now Get Snuggled is playing this very, very well. He's like, I can't fight you, but I can fight your minions.
All right. We're focusing on Rux Rapid, but you know what? The story across the board, it's not going super well for Curse Academy outside of top lane. Maybe it is if they do pick up kills in the bot lane, but it looks like the Delicious Smoke will get away. Maybe, maybe.
Oh, he's in the hole! Nobody blocks it, and Tails takes out Patsu. Mashme is going to take down Delicious Milk GG as well. It's a double kill right back at you. Tails, 2-for-1 exchange. And like you said, Curse Academy, their big top laner is really big, but elsewhere, not quite
Things aren't going too hot. Duosec takes a lot of damage mid lane. There is a Shaman to back up, Ziggs as well. So Duosec, you gotta get out of this.
Right back around. He's got some auto attacks to follow. There is that wild growth flashing in. Lantern back out. Peckinwolf is too far away, and Duosec just gets kited out there. Perfect job by Gaunty coming in, and it gets Snuggled being a presence there. Peckinwolf makes it out alive. 4 for 2 now.
Unfortunately for Peckinwolf, did have to blow that flash. Get Snuggled's ultimate did not land. That had to be pixels off. That looked like it was almost there, but just not quite enough. And there is a little bit of delay on Shyvana's ultimate that can make it rougher to land. But Ziggs is ahead by 30 CS in the mid lane. Lucian is ahead by 40 CS bot lane. We keep going back top because Rux is doing really funny things, but across the board, Tails, if he picks up a Triforce soon, or just with his Bloodthirster Last Whisper combo, he can still shred through Rux. His HP does not mean a lot because there is no mitigation to back it up. So Rux needs to get his tankiness, and he needs to start helping out his team because Lulu, yeah, she's a utility carry, but you still need her to get a Lich Bane, still need her to get a lot of damage from that Pig's passive. And Don't Mash Me, I mean, he's far behind, but Caitlyn is still amazing late game due to her range, so if he can get more items, if he can keep relevant and equal with Lucian, it'll be great for them late game, but mid game, this is Lucian's time to shine. He's got a lot of burst damage, he has really good sustain for that Bloodthirster, and no one's going to be tanky versus him because of that early Last Whisper. So they need to start making some plays happen, start securing their own dragons. Not like Gragas might steal them. I would like to see a Renekton push out his lane and then roam toward the mid, see if he can make a big play happen with a aggressive dive, just because he is so good at it right now, and Lulu will help keep him alive.
Well, that's a good point. You need to see Rux do something right now for Curse Academy because while he's winning his lane, the rest of his team are losing the game. He started to build some defensive options, but keep in mind he's building all magic resistance when there's 2 kills there on Tails, and Tails is just going to blow him up. I don't know how Rux is going to fare in these team fights because he can resist most of the damage, but not that Lucian. Tails.
And, well, there's a Thresh too, and Thresh is really good at stopping Renekton dive. Because you can slice and dice, but if Thresh hits you with a flay, one of those is going to be interrupted. You usually need both to keep up with someone like Lucian who does have that escape dash. It's going to be actually Delicious Milk GG. He can both win and lose a team fight if he tosses a bad explosive cast.
Right.
If he gets the explosive cast and Rux just like, hey, what's up, Tails? Gragas decided we should meet, then things will go downhill fast.
But speaking of junglers, Delicious Milk GG's Gragas actually doing okay. Has a not necessarily the death cap that his mid laner Peckinwolf does, but on the other side, Patsu is, it looks like more like Boytheon to me because he's not quite been able to get in there with those big Mantheon plays because 0-2, he's tried to engage bottom lane over and over again, but just hasn't been able to find anything just yet.
Yeah, he tried to go for those aggressive ganks early. Doesn't have a lot of gold because of that. I mean, he does have decent damage, but decent damage in a big team fight. Same story for Renekton, same story for Pantheon. Doesn't do a lot. All right, you are great melee damage carry. Now get in melee range and don't die. So, really, there's only one good tank in this entire game right now, and that's going to be Get Snuggled, who, oddly enough, he's been the guy that's been behind all game, but yeah, he's built a Sunfire Cape and his Giant Spell. That's enough to be tanky. That is perfectly fine.
It's completely opposite ideas. For Rux, he's like, look at me, I'm going to win this game. But for Get Snuggled, he's like, I'm the tank, I'm going to help other people win it, because I can't really do that, because you smashed me super hard, and pings onto the dragon area. It's up in a minute and a half, but he got set up there with wards.
Well, Rux can do something that we haven't mentioned. He can just sit up top lane and try and kill Get Snuggled. Get Snuggled getting a lot of damage. Rux can still sustain decently. But if Rux sustains, he can just make sure that no Get Snuggled can never leave the top lane, in which case there is no tank, there is no front line.
You know, Get Snuggled might win this fight out there. A little bit of a preemptive dominance, and once Get Snuggled started to run away, all Rux needed to do is just back off. But having regained aggressive advantage in that top lane, he's going to be walking down it, continue to try to take that one out there. Get snuggled, might be in a little bit of trouble.
He can kill top turret, except Gragas in the area. Delicious milk. I mean, he's gonna. Looks like he's gonna give Rux a taste.
Yeah, Rux has a lot of MR, so I wouldn't say he's too scared right now, but he just needs to get some of that health back with a life steal. Oh, man drop coming in behind the turret. Ace in the hole coming in as well, and Batu jumps right on Aganti. That burst damage from Annie as well. Where's the flash out? And there's the flash in. Tails on a killing spree. Takes him down. Explosive or Mega Inferno Bomb there as well, trying to catch Curse Academy out, but it's just a 1-for-1 exchange as Batu and Ganti trade lives.
And Rux up in the top lane trying to push down that top turret. Might pick it up. We'll see in a second. But this is a good power play from Rux. He knows he can't teamfight super effectively, so he's drawing attention to himself. This is something we see quite often, but normally because top laners are built more tanky, it's not as common nowadays because you just can't kill the turret that fast. But with that Bloodthirster, with that high damage, Rux totally can. So a really good adaptation. It's a very old school style of play, a very old school build. Brutalizer into Bloodthirster. I did that in Season 2. Like, I remember doing that in Season 2, and that's what you did on Renekton, because he just wasn't very popular. But, like, this build, he's drawing attention to himself. He cannot team fight. He can assassinate, he can try and split push, but he cannot team fight until he builds more tanky.
Oh, Delicious Smoke GG gets caught out, stunned out. Sheep now in a little bit of trouble. Will back away. The culling coming out, but it's not going to cull anybody just yet. Sheep, he's hurting the rest of his team up there. Or the rest of his team is hurting him. I guess that's the way it works. Sheep get hurted. They don't do the hurting unless you see like I don't know. If there's like a sheep that herds other sheep, I don't know. I feel like
there's a kids movie where this happens, or a kids TV show where a sheep herded other sheep. Like, I remember this happening, but
that's like M&Ms eating other M&Ms. Just ain't right.
Stupid. I mean, those commercials have a lot of questions that aren't unanswered. Like, why is there a society where there are people that can both talk and be eaten in the same room communicating? But let's not go into the the societal structure of M&M's commercials.
All right, so I'm trying to get the M&Ms out of my brain. This is difficult. But
it's kind of the same thing with like the Wiener Schnitzel, like the hot dog on the run commercials.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it's the same like dog, weird thing where he's paying for services and the taxi driver wants to eat them.
I mean, that's always going to be kind of awkward, but
yeah, it's kind of really weird thing to think about. I really want to talk about it, but let's not talk about it. Let's back up.
Back to the League of Legends. I mean, that was a little bit of downtime where everybody was sort of like, well, Dragon's up. Do we do it? We're just gonna kill some minions. Back off. We're going to do it. We're going to back. Okay, and then thus the cycle repeats itself. Flash Timbers, though, right on the Pegawolf. He's got the lantern. He's got the rubber ducky, but the lifesaver not saving his life enough. Sheep's a little bit low, but a perfect pick. Just got to give it to my Sheep. Really nice job picking off Picking Wolf, as it were. And now looking for the, I think the second dragon of the game, yeah, for Curse Academy. But
that's the Rux assassination coming out there. Rux is still not super tanky himself, already down to half HP. They have used their speed boost. Now, will they continue this fight? They can go for Dragon on the side of Curse Academy. They just don't know if they want to fully commit yet. That's a great question. They will pick up the Dragon. It looks like they're just going to disengage. They actually do have Don't Mash in a bad position. He will be safe. The issue really is that, all right, they got the assassinations. They still don't really have a great front line. Getting a kill, getting that Dragon Gold, it will give them a little bit more lead. Can build them more towards the late game. So just waiting and sitting on it, I love it. I love that they did not fully commit. Because diving into a Lucian that's doing that well, diving into a Gragas that can disengage and break your team apart, Rux or Pateau probably would have gone down, and they would not have gotten a kill for it.
Right, better safe than sorry too. So it's not good to give your dragons away, but it works out pretty well if you just want to try to take down other objectives on the map. Blue buff was secured there for Peck and Wolf, so vVv, they're taking what they can get. They just can't really get a whole lot. Now, they're only down a couple thousand gold too, so that's another reason why it's the much better option. Just give the dragon away, take a little bit of a hit in gold, because you aren't actually behind all that much. You don't have to make those big plays. And when you talk about the kills, they are starting to come over here to vVv. You've got strengths on pretty much everyone. It's a little bit interesting to me to see how the tanks and the damage dealers work out, because while the top lane is tanky for vVv, they've got damage in the jungle. Whereas Curse Academy, they've got damage in the top lane. That's Youmuu's Ghost Blade.
I saw that like, wait a second. What's that doing there?
This is a Riven build from Rux. You see that build on some Rivens out there, especially like Korean Rivens back before the nerf. Faker would build the Spirit Visage in there because it gives you CDR and defensive stats against the burst damage that's going to take you down, because ADs aren't going to be able to kill you because you out-trade them, you out-sustain them, and
So it's all about the casters.
Exactly. So that's why you build the MR. And now with no armor, though, could be a little bit susceptible to, once again, Tails. But Tails 3-0. He's the big damage threat, the big purpose in these team fights.
Tails will wreck Rux. Like, there is no doubt about that. Rux is just so squishy versus him. But he's not going to ever fight Tails if he can avoid it.
Oh my goodness, look at that health gain. Rux just, he's starting to get tank stats on top of that lifesteal, which means that he's even
73 off that auto attack on a minion.
Holy
the Spirit
cow.
Visage does increase the lifesteal, so he is just sustaining like a champ. 124 with that Golden Meek. He's got a lot of regeneration, he's got a lot of damage. Get Snuggled will win a trade maybe, like a quick one-on-one, but in the long sustained fight, as Get Snuggled has no regeneration of his own besides just the passive stats, he is losing this in the long run. You can see him already being chased out. Like he cannot fight Rux at this point. He will die if he stays for a long sustained fight.
It's passive versus active sustain, and we all know which one wins out. The Bloodthirster, always a nice way to do that, especially since it's combos so well with Cull the Meek. I like this carry build from Renekton. Rux is up like 75, 80 CS right now. He's just stomping Shyvana 1v1, but it's not 1v1s that win you the game, Studio. It's the big team fights. We haven't really seen one yet. Even in that last Dragon engagement, they just backed off.
It was a pick-off and a runaway, and that's because Curse Academy knows they don't want a team fight right now. Caitlyn still farming, getting that gold, getting the money, getting the items, as she should be doing. It's great for them. And it's kind of the same thing across the board. Like, all right, we're going to trust in the Caitlyn more than we're going to trust in the Ziggs. Ziggs can carry late game. Caitlyn can carry late game as well. Tails playing Lucian is effective late game, but not considered the traditional hard carrier like a 650 range Caitlyn, like a Vayne. So this is Curse Academy trusting Don't Mash Me, and this is vVv, A, unable to deal with Rux, and B, trusting Peckinwolf on Ziggs. And actually, Lucian getting a lot of farm himself too. Will be very comparable to Caitlyn in damage, just a little bit less safe because he won't have that range. It really is a great question of who will win a team fight, because a team fight, if it even happens, it's going to be starting most likely off some really weird positioning or very aggressive Baron Dragon play.
Downside to this build here from Rux is that he only does physical damage. So all you have to do is stack up armor against him, and see that's exactly what Shyvana is doing. Get snuggled up there. We'll be able to trade him out here in just a little bit. Now Rux is going to go aggressive, and there's the Tiamat trying to stop him from doing that. Nice stun there. All Get Snuggled has to do is run, and speaking of running, Rux is on top of those flames. You don't want to follow Shyvana ulted in burnout. Ace in the hole on a Peckinwolf. Nobody dodged. What is that damage? The stun comes out. Spear as well. The flash and the bounce out. But Hayama Sheep is going to go down here. The culling takes him out. You can hashtag get culled after that one. Sheep going down. And that's the same pick that we saw at the last Dragon, just on the other team.
Yeah, unfortunately for Peckinwolf, or fortunately for Peckinwolf, there was an Renekton there to chase him down. There wasn't quite as much burst damage. They surprised him with Caitlyn ultimate. The Ace in the hole was fantastic, but no one was in range. They had to blow flashes, ignites to get him down ASAP. They did not fully commit fast enough. We did see a flash end up getting used by Pateau, but they had to catch that right away before he could get the bomb, before he could get his flashes off and safely escape. Now with that one pick off, Dragon up in a minute, not a whole lot that vVv are going to be able to accomplish most likely, but they can stabilize their lane so they can push out. They can maybe try and get Renekton out of the top lane for a few seconds. He has gone back to base, so they should be able to push out a bit more. So this isn't so much a huge victory for them, but they will have very good map control with the minion waves pushed out for this next Dragon in 40 seconds.
40 seconds is not a lot of time, and with Delicious Milk GG recalling back to base, see what his big buy is. I'd expect something like a Leandry's, maybe just picking up some extra ward coverage. Didn't see him buy anything.
Well, let's see, he has a Zhonya's now, and that was a recent purchase. So that's his current big item. It's keeping him alive versus Renekton, keeping him alive versus Pateau. There's a lot of physical damage coming out from Curse Academy. Less magic, as Lulu does have decent ratios, but nothing like, let's say, a LeBlanc or a Gragas himself. Delicious Milk is doing as much as he can with his limited jungle gold, as 1, 2, 3, not a lot of kills, not a lot of assists, 178 CS. In the jungle, it's decent. That's a pretty good farm, but it's not enough to give him, you know, a death cap and a Fiends and a Void Staff. Dragon will be going down in a few seconds, bursting on so quickly. Gragas going for the smite, so can't quite lock it up though. Top turret does go down as gets his one good push into the turret, and it's gone. The chase out from the bot lane, so it's pretty equal turret for Dragon. And this game is just dead even passive play, and no one wants to start a fight because they're both trusting in the late game.
Exactly. Now, trusting in the late game with an AD Renekton may not be the greatest idea. Renekton does start to fall off towards the later phase of the game, but as we've seen before over and over again, Curse Academy, if they get that big pick, the burst damage from Renekton starts to be pretty cool. And now, with Shyvana starting to get towards that big late game build herself, I don't think this is going to work out very well. Blade of the Ruined King outscales Bloodthirster in those big tanky top lane fights. So I'm not sure Rux is scheduled to win this lane if it continues like this. He's going to try for the red buff. If he gets this red buff, then nobody can sustain against that true damage. The Mantheon drop. We've got a nice Lantern thrown out there, but once again, oh, a little bit of a mini drag back out. As I don't think that's exactly where Patu wanted to jump in.
That Zhonya is huge, keeping him alive. That mini Lantern, it was you know, the short, very quick commuter Thresh Express. It got him out only, I'd say, 100 units, but that's enough. That's enough to escape. That's enough distance when you're traveling that fast and the enemy team is that scared of you, of the follow back from their initiation, that they will disengage. So they get a turret. No one dies in the fight, but both teams just too scared to overcommit. Pantheon is pretty tanky, but he's not tanky enough. He's not built for pure tank. He's getting jungle CS, so he doesn't have a lot of items as well. And the result is going to be that Lucian, Gragas, and Ziggs will just tear through him in an instant. Dragon or Baron now being looked at by Curse Academy. They could try and start this out. They have a lot of damage themselves, ulting very fast to Baron.
You know what I just realized? Rux has over 200 CS more than Patu. That's a pretty big difference between jungler and lane.
Yeah,
while that's understandable, Rux is still huge. And Dragon just dies instantly, no questions asked. It is Pantheon. Patu picks it up there for Curse Academy. Burst damage down onto Delicious Milk. GG will flash away. First casualty of war will be no one just yet. Everybody very low, but no one gonna die there. The Baron buff on Curse Academy is absolutely huge. It must be the last auto attack. The Piltover Pacemaker. Stop and get Snuggles' heart. And now vVv, a little man down. Won't be able to chase this one out, but the Baron regen is gonna keep Curse Academy safe and sound. And after that Baron buff now, great shot calling there. They just got on the Baron.
They just won on. They did it fast. That was risky. That was dangerous. Delicious Milk GG was almost in time to go with this Might Seal. And his Might Seals have been pretty on point this game, so definitely got to give him credit for that. But they made the call. They had just enough time. They had a fast Baron team. Pantheon, Renekton building AD, and man, and Caitlyn is great at it. Baron was apparently at 6 HP, Delicious Milk GG saying. So he missed the smite just barely. The burst was fantastic from Curse Academy, but at the perfect time as well, as Delicious Milk did miss that smite by apparently almost nothing.
Yeah, that was rough to watch, because you have great shot calling like that says, hey, we're on that Baron. We know this is what we want to go for. Shots called, we're going for it. And at that point, if you get it stolen, then you have to completely revamp your strategy. You have to rethink, what do we do now? Do we fight? Do we try to take it back? Do we try to kill them with the Baron buff? What happens? But the best of all worlds there for Patu is he gets that 6 HP Baron Smite. That's pretty good. You got to look towards the new Curse Academy lineup and say, hey, are these the right players for the roles? Because this is exactly what happened with Curse Academy in its very first incarnation. It was a whole bunch of solo queue players. It was actually called Children of I Will Dominate back when he was playing on Curse Academy. Of course, now he's graduated from the children to the adults of I Will Dominate, the main Curse roster. But Curse Academy's still running strong and maybe a little bit down in the kill department, but they're up everywhere else except for turrets.
Yeah, they're up in Dragons, up in Barons. That's the big one. Bottom turret will actually equal out, so turret score now 5-5. Renekton going back top lane, and Shyvana already split pushing up there. This is now Curse Academy's time to try and fight, and a complete reversal as vVv is now looking for the split push, because they do not want to fight the Baron up team. The issue is, going up against Rux, that's a Baron up Renekton that already had a lot of lifesteal and sustain before, so now he's got even more sustain from that passive regeneration on Baron. And Curse Academy, they can try and make a pick off, but if they can't get Shyvana pushed back to her turret in top lane, or she is just pushing too far up, Renekton needs to sit back, because they cannot lose turrets to split pushes. They want 1-for-1 right now, and their big Baron play should be getting objectives for nothing or for kills.
Pretty sure this is going to be a Warmog's armor for Rux, unless he builds that Sunfire Cape, which is more of a laning item anyway. I want to see that. I want to see that be that big Warmog's, and the Youmuu's Renekton running at you. That's never something you expect to see. It's pretty darn scary, and Ruck's already posting up some pretty impressive numbers, not necessarily in the kill count, but in his contribution to his team. 400 CS, a full 100 CS above Get Snuggled.
This is comedy option Frozen Mallet Day, I feel.
We've already had one too many Frozen Mallets today, studio. Please, Rux. Listen to your heart.
Don't
when
do
it's
it.
calling for you.
He could go for the Warmogs, which would be hilarious right now with his already high HP from the Baron regeneration. So he could go for Warmogs. There is percentage damage on Shyvana, so he might avoid it for that reason.
There's percentage damage on Gragas as well, with the Leandry's Torment, and
so there's a lot of ways that Warmogs will be shut down, and his mitigation is not that high right now. He doesn't really have like a lot. He's got Randuin's, he's got Spirit Visage, and we've got a trap set up. And we've also got no one from vVv biting that trap.
Yeah, they're just,
no one even close to going.
They're completely oblivious. They're like, well, if there's a place to set a trap, it's not there. Setting up for the dragon, it's now live. Once again, just completely not caring about that dragon. They've given away the Baron buff, and using your Baron to take a dragon, maybe not the most optimal usage, but Tails going to call that wave, dash back on out of there, ace in the whole lands. Man drops coming in, whether somebody follows or not, and all
right, he makes it up. Pantheon with a great escape from his own engage.
Sir?
Unfortunately, Curse Academy deciding not to follow through with that engage, which makes sense. It's a very hard initiation. Tails could have been bursted down, but the team was there to back him up. And 2, you got to give him credit for positioning the ultimate in a way such that if it did flub like that, he would still escape with the flash.
Yeah, it's like, well, what do you really do now? Oh, Get Snuggled. Oh, dodges the stun. Makes it out alive. Matchme's in the bottom lane. He's just farming up a storm this game. He's trying desperately to get on Rux's CS level, but hasn't quite been able to find it just yet. Not sure what that man drop was all about. You can see that the rest of Curse Academy were listening to the Helix Fossil, and Rux was a follower of the Dome. So, or Pateau rather, as he just jumped in there, not on the same page, and that's just what happens when you don't listen to our Lord and Savior. Another thing that these guys may be listening to is some weird build ideas. While you do have pretty standard itemization out there, it's a Hex Drinker onto Mashme. You can see him using that magic resistance to shield being depleted there. I'm not sure why Get Snuggled doesn't want to go in on that, just too afraid of getting kited. Mashme now going for an ace in the hole, gets line of sight blocked through there. There's the Tibbers and the ace in the hole coming down Mashme. No ace for him, but does still pick up a kill there on to Get Snuggled. Overextended. Not caught out for it.
Yeah, I just went too far out. Now builds Spectre's Cal. I like that Hex Drinker and eventually Mama Mortius for Don't Mash Me, just because, well, what's he dealing with? A Gragas, a Shyvana, a Ziggs. That's a lot of magic damage. Tails will be focusing on Renekton most likely. So his way to survive in team fights is just build the magic resist, try and survive versus their magic burst. And now Get Snuggled down for 37 seconds. The outer turrets are all down except for the mid turret for vVv. Would not be surprised to see Curse Academy rotate towards that, try and get one more objective down. Just because this game has been going so slowly, we're reaching a point where the gold difference isn't that big. This is 5,000 gold, but 5,000 gold 42 minutes in, it's less than a 10% difference. It's not that huge. It is still noticeable, but not a massive difference in gold. And if they want to play for the late game, they can keep farming it up, but eventually you reach a point where one kill, kind of like the Shyvana death actually, is just so much time spent not doing anything that you can lose inhibitors, you can lose a Nexus just based off one death.
Well, and the point is that early game, it's all about mechanics. Can you win your lane out like that? Towards the mid game, it becomes how hard have you won your lane and what do you do in these team fights? But this late in the game where everybody is by and large even, turrets pretty similar, kills exactly the same, gold, only a 5,000 gold difference, which doesn't really matter at this 45, 50, 55 minutes late stage of the game. It becomes about decision making. This is where shot calling and strategy. There we go.
That's
I got it.
one.
I was like, oh my goodness, it's right there. I found it, studio. I'm gonna end this cast on a positive note. But we got Baron buff being started. First Baron of the game went to Curse Academy. Can they take the second? They got the first off a very clean, decisive decision making.
They're going to get the second most likely, as all of vVv is really backing up. They have no confidence walking into the enemy Baron. It makes sense. You don't want to walk into a Renekton with a Lulu behind him. It's just going to say everybody's knocked up in the air, and Renekton's killing you all. So the Baron is secured very quickly, very easily. Out comes Ziggs ult, does not do a whole lot. And now 44 minutes in the game, a 6,000 gold lead in favor of Curse Academy, but more importantly, that Baron buff on their very, very strong team now. Going to just go ahead and give them a lot more tankness, a lot more damage. I would not expect that mid turret to be alive long for this world. So if you have any last words for it, now is the time to say them, Rapid.
The turnaround for this game comes from, I feel like Peckinwolf's Lichbane. If he can get that, Lulu is essentially a mid laner with 2 damage skills, and while she has a lot of utility, there's only 2 damage skills, whereas every single thing about passive adds extra damage. When you have passive on top of Lichbane, I don't care what defensive items you have, you're half health. It's really, really rough to sustain against that, but a little bit far off. And there's actually the man drop and engage through the turret at Salt and everything. No battery as well, but Rux in there killing off Gaunty. Sheep's in the back, and just the turret, perfect bait. I don't know why you try to defend outside your base. Curse Academy, they're too strong and for too long. vVv have been overextended through their turrets and outside their base, and Curse Academy punishing them so hard for it. They've got the Baron buff, they've got the turrets, the inhibitor going down now, 6 and 9 and more. Pushing to come here for Curse Academy as they look to take down the Nexus turrets, and can vVv stop them? Batsu's gonna take a lot of damage, but Get Snuggle just melts under the pressure. There's too much damage for one baby Shyvana. Second Nexus turret gonna fall. The GG's coming out. Curse Academy gonna take it down. vVv Gaming, 45-minute game and a total of 410 CS at the end of the game. Don't mash me, the moral victory, picking up 4 CS more than Rux.
We had 3 people above 400 CS at the end of the game, and we had also Pegano 4 CS behind. So
oh man.
This was the farm game, this was the passive game. Unfortunately, Curse Academy, they had the Baron control, they never really gave it up, and with that little bit of objective taking, that's what just gave them that little bit of edge to really finish off and win that game. I mean, that was solid play overall from both vVv and Curse Academy, but unfortunately for both sides, they just extended the game out too long, and it became all about that one big play. But luckily for Curse Academy, they got the big play.
It's true. They got it. They got the victory, and that is going to do it for our 4th game of the night. I went into the game, I believe vV'd, and just wasn't enough. So we'll have to see if they can improve their record as they get into tomorrow's games, but that's going to do it for our game here tonight. Last game of the night, of course, we're going to be heading over to watch Cloud9 HyperX Tempest, the team that did extremely well last week, picking up the only win over LMQ. They'll be taking on email support, and it'll be our last game of the night, so I'll be signing off here. So if you guys do want to follow either myself or Studio, you can see our Twitters right there. All right, I found it. Don't worry. It's on there. At Rapid Casting or at League of Studio. You can check us out. We'd love to hear what you thought about today's broadcast. If you want to tweet it to at NACL Esports using the hashtag NACL, I'm sure we'll be reading or responding to those at some point in the near future. So thank you so much for watching. That's going to be all for me, but we'll have Dan in Studio up here to close out the night with email support taking on Cloud9 HyperX Tempest.